Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. Have you ever wondered how to take little tiny, teeny, tiny steps to transform your life? We got a great show for you. Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. I'm Ryan Morris. I'm Ryan. That's Nick. And today we have an amazing show. But before we get to that, if you're not following us on YouTube or subscribe, go do that so that you know when we go live every single day and time. Hit the alert button. Come to Facebook, a tribe of giants, where you can see us and hang out with a bunch of great, amazing people that will support you as you go through your Giants journey and you grow. And watch for our SG groups. We got an SG group running right now that's really amazing. They're having some amazing breakthroughs and taking control of their life and being able to see where they're playing small, where they can grow. And we've got SG7 coming up.
Thursday.
Oh my gosh, it's coming up. And yours truly is driving the bus. Nick is going to be the co-driver. It's like a student driving situation where he'll have his foot on the pedals.
I've got my own set of pedals. Yeah.
He's got his own steering wheel just in case.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. So if you want to sign up for that, check that out. We've got posts all over the place for that. And this is Nicholas T. Smith, by the way, the author of The Giants and the Smalls. Just the most amazing book you've ever read in your life. If you haven't read it, go read it.
Thanks,
it's on Amazon. So, yeah, we have a great show too. And
we do.
Yeah,
we do.
Above and beyond all that, we got a great show.
As a highlight here, in the last month, we've had over 45,000 views on this show on Facebook alone, and over 5,800 engagements. Engagements are more important than anything. And so we appreciate our audience. We love the comments that you guys post every Sunday. Every show that we do. So keep those coming. We read every single one of them. So even though we might not comment on them, we see them. So I'm going to introduce our guest real quick. We got Davey Spurlock, 41 years old, father of 6. In the bio, it was written 6.5. And somebody said, how do you have 6.5 kids? Well, he has 5. He's the father of 6. He's got 5 boys and one girl, and he's married to Christina Spurlock. So the 0.5 kind of got missed in interpretation there. So they've been married for 12 years. He's the owner of Ant Farm Construction, as well as A&F Crane and Rigging. And in his years of growth and change, he's seen many, many hard times and many really amazing times. Both are crucial for real growth. He's learned that business is hard, but also very rewarding. And his goal is to help as many people as he can to better their lives and situations, showing them that even the smallest of steps is a move in the right direction. Starting with those that are closest to him is where you're starting with your journey, right?
Yep.
So, man, welcome to the show. It's good to have you here.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to be here.
I love it. Hugh, I always love the plug, man, for the Art of Accomplishment. That was my first published book in 2011. And so that was kind of the root of the Giants and the Smalls as well. You know, the Giants and Smalls was written before that, but yeah. Well, Davey, let's dive into your journey, man. We're going to go through this. We like to go through the 12 journeys with consciousness, awareness, uncertainty. We're going to go through each of them. And you may have done this just one time. You might have done it multiple times through your journey here. But I want to go back to a non-conscious space in your life, wherever you want to go to, where you thought you were somebody and you had an identity designed around that, where maybe you didn't show up as powerfully as you do today, and you had ideas about who you were. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think all of us do that. And I think all of us at some point think we're something that we're not.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, I mean, let's go as far back as high school. I mean, we all have this false sense of who we are in high school. And, you know, I look back at who I was in high school and I don't like that guy.
Yeah.
He was a mess.
I love the dogs in the background, dude. Are you running a dog fighting ring, man?
Yeah.
My son got a dog, and my big dog, I have a Great Dane Mastiff mix, and he's monstrous, but he's never had a dog big enough to play with.
That's awesome.
So he's definitely taking. I think he's lost probably 15 pounds since we got the dog. So, and I know he's eating more, so I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, right. So going back to high school, right? Like you didn't like yourself there.
Right. Well, and the funny thing is you think you do.
Yeah.
And as you grow and as things happen, and as and honestly, I mean, even when in my first marriage, I thought that I had this idea of who I was that wasn't even close, and when I got divorced, that put me in a really low spot in my life. In fact, probably one of the lowest. And it was at that point for me that I really started to develop. I really started to grow. My way of thinking changed, and first, you're depressed, you're upset, you're frustrated, and Nick, firsthand what I'm talking about.
I do, yeah.
And it hurts, and you're trying to figure out where you went wrong. And most of the time you're blaming yourself, you're kicking yourself, you're trying to, and you really start to try and figure out who you are at that point.
Let's hang on that for a minute, because that's the second journey that we've noticed, is that when you become aware of how you've been playing life and you start to wake up to that and you really see reality as it is, right, and the amount of judgments that come up in there, a lot of people really get hung up on their judgments of themselves about what has happened or where they are or where they think they should be. Can you speak to that a little bit more? Just going into that of when you woke up to how you've been living life, right? You're sitting there, you're divorced, you're depressed. How did you treat yourself, man? Were you just really nice and sweet to yourself, or?
No. No, in fact, when I say I was in a dark place, I mean that I was really hard on myself. I blamed myself for everything. I know that it takes two to play the game. It was hard. It was a hard part of my life, and I hated myself for it. And it really took my wife, Christina, to help me realize that I wasn't this horrible, awful, bad person. And it really changed my life. And I don't know, without getting emotional, I can't,
Dude, we allow the emotions here. So,
and so I'm grateful for her. I can't speak highly enough of her, because she is definitely my rock, because I needed someone besides myself at that moment to tell me that I was okay.
This is a valuable thing here. So the book, when it was written, it was Steve Hardison put me on his shoulder to show me what was possible. Right. And you're talking about Christina was that person for you, as she put you on her shoulder when you were at your low of lows and you felt smaller than small. Right. She puts you on her shoulder and says, look, dude, you're not as small as you think. You're not as bad as you think. Right.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
And it's funny because when we met, obviously I knew I wasn't in a position to date.
Yeah.
I wasn't good enough for me. How can I be good enough for somebody else?
Yeah.
And at that point in time, I had 4 boys to raise, and they were a priority.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget our first conversation. Never.
Yeah. Do you want to share? I have some background in this, but
I wasn't doing good. I was struggling. Had some good friends, and that particular night, a friend of mine gets a hold of me and he says, "Hey, you got to get out of the house, man." Now you got to remember that My house was empty. I had no furniture. I had no dishes. I had no no food. There was trash all over. I was working for the railroad at the time, so I was never home. I didn't have time to clean it. And, so, when I say I was sitting at home, I mean, I was sitting on a hard tile floor, just deep in my detrimental thoughts.
Yeah.
Life out, and he calls me, and he knew. He says, we got a softball game tonight. You should come out and watch us play. Yeah, cool, done. So I head over to the softball fields, and my wife just happened to be playing on this team that he was on, and we're I'm watching, we're hanging out, and then at the end of the game, she comes up to me and starts talking to me, and I just stopped her. I said, "Hey, this ain't gonna happen. I ain't interested. I don't want to be friends. I don't want to hang out with you. I've got way too much on my plate. I've got 4 boys to raise. They're my priority." That was our first conversation. And I'm almost certain that she went, "Wow."
I'm sure she said, "Okay, challenge accepted."
Yeah,
right.
I've never been shut down before. Wow, that was incredible. And she didn't quit. She would text me and say good morning. And now you need to understand, I didn't give her my number, which means she got it from one of my friends. But she started just hey, just wanted to say hi. How you doing? And we got to where we would talk frequently, because on the railroad, I spent a lot of time in hotel rooms, which is about as bad as hanging out in an empty house. And you're stuck with your thoughts. And so she would break up the monotony of my dangerous thoughts and help me, just communicate.
Yeah.
And talk. And we talked for months. We talked for, almost a year, And then I remember one day I'm working in Williams, Arizona, and she calls me. And she goes, "So are we dating or what?" And
What?
I went, "Oh, frick."
I like your wife.
It sounds like the movie Up, the little girl on Up.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I told her, I said, "Oh, frick, why?" And she goes,
frick.
"Well, there's this guy."
Probably another word in there, yeah.
Oh, there was. It was definitely another
yeah.
word. I'm trying to keep it PG, guys. I'm in construction. PG is tough for me.
Yeah.
But she goes, "Well, there's this guy," and I go, "Yep, we're dating." And the rest of
there's this guy. Yep, we're dating.
Yep.
So, yep. And we've been together ever since.
You spell frick.
Yeah, it's close enough.
Yeah.
But yeah,
right.
and 2-3 years in, I look at her and I tell her, I said, it's crazy to me. She goes, "What's that?" I didn't realize that you could be married and happy at the same time. Have a good day, son. But I didn't even know that was a thing, and because my first marriage were probably the worst 10 years of my life, hardest, beat down. I was low of low, and for if anybody ever tells you that talking down to people doesn't hurt them, it absolutely does. And that's one of the things that has driven me to push as hard as I have, for my employees, for my people, my team.
We're going to get to that. We're going to dive into that world that you created, because you've transformed your life significantly. And that's one reason I wanted to bring you on, is because the transformation from where you were, what you're describing right here, to where you are today is phenomenal, right? But there's something you hit on with Christina that is vital for healing, right? And that's expression.
Yeah.
You called it communication. The word communicate comes from community. It means to have something in common between two or more people to communicate, right? And the challenge with most of us is we're speaking at people or we're not speaking at all. And so there is there's nothing in common. Right.
Right.
And so
well,
there's
and
no
most people don't listen. They don't hear you.
Yeah. Okay.
And you speak and you don't actually hear what's being said. You're just listening to respond.
Right. Right. So in this case where you got a chance to really open up and share what's going on for you, it opens up the possibility for healing, right? So many of us hold on to what's going on in us, the darkness, the secrets. I started sharing when I was living in my brother's basement after my divorce. I go from a beautiful home, successful career, and I'm living in a bedroom apartment at my brother's. I'm grateful that he allowed me to do that. But I'll tell you, I felt small and dark. And I started sharing my journey on video. I would just come on Facebook here and just share live of this is where I'm at, guys. This is what's going on for me. And that expression for me was healing. I wasn't doing it for anybody else. Do you know what I mean? It was,
absolutely.
I needed to get that out of me.
Yep. Well, I just posted a video on Facebook earlier this week about communication, and about having a place where you're safe, and I hate to use the word safe space, but having a place where you're comfortable to say anything and you're comfortable to have conversations that in a lot of cases could really hurt somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? But those conversations, especially in marriage, need to be had, in partnerships of any kind, business, relationships with employees, tough conversations are life and you have to have them to grow and to move forward and to help people grow.
Well, the walking on eggshells is simply us not honest about what's going on inside of us, right?
Correct.
It's like we don't feel like we can have the room to tell somebody else. And I have clients, and I won't disclose too much around this, where partners won't, like you said, they don't hear what's going on. If there was just some hearing without taking it personal, that would be one thing where people would just express anything. Like you could say anything and it would just be a conversation, right?
Yep.
But what happens is these individuals will attack. They'll go on the attack and demean. And you talk about how words can hurt a person. I'm talking to powerful people who, because of a relationship, don't feel so powerful, right? And so, but at the same time are learning to express what's going on for them, and really start communicating what their truth is, which is It's a balancing act because they're trying to hold one thing together. And you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
walk on eggshells and say the right thing, say what they hold as a truth. Yeah. It's hard. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, the problem is eventually it's got to come to a head. Yeah. Eventually it's going to blow up and it's going to either solve the problem or it's going to cause a breakup. There's no in between there. Yeah. If you can't communicate and you can't have that conversation with a person without them being triggered, rather than listening to you, they look for trigger points. They look for things to explode to.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then we don't have to talk about this. If I explode, you'll back off. And what I've learned,
and the conversation will be over.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, we don't have to do it, right?
Yeah.
Good morning, Taylor.
And people are terrified of that.
Yeah.
Amongst other things, but communication, people, they struggle with it. I have an employee that I just, I don't know. I didn't reprimand him per se, but he struggles. And great kid, lots of potential, but he already knows everything. And the problem with somebody that already knows everything is you can't teach them.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was interviewing for a job in Las Vegas. And I tried to tell him, tried to explain to him, I said, when you interview, you need to be honest. Don't tell them that you can do things you can't do. I said, you got to remember that at this stage right now, you're still an apprentice. you know, and an apprentice is just that. You still have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
You know, and he got very offensive and, you know, started pushing back. And I said, look, I'm not trying to tell you not to interview. I'm not trying to, I said, just, you need to be honest with these people because they're not going to hang on to you like I have.
Right.
You know, if you go in there and tell them that you can do all this stuff, and in the first 2 days they see that you can't, they'll just let you go. And I'm just trying to save you embarrassment. You know, you have the capability of being great, but as long as you don't let people teach you, and as long as you act like you know everything, you'll never gain the knowledge that you need to gain.
Okay, like this is opening a door right here. So we're it's you know, the justifications that we have for being who we are.
Yeah.
Right. So many people are suffering in who they currently are, yet they have these justifications for who they are. You know, this happened in my life and that happened in my life and this person did that and this occurred, right? But and they did. There's no doubt that those events were there, right? But like you said, the justification limits learning. So as soon as you become justified in your position, there's no more learning because you're justified, right? And so the opportunity, the word humility, right, comes from coachability or teachability. Like I'm teachable. And my goal even when I teach is I'm learning from other people, and I don't care who it is I'm sitting with. They have the ability to teach me.
Right.
And so I always make it my focus, my commitment to stay open to learning, because there may be a way I'm not seeing it. Right.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And there's always different ways that it can be done that could better your process.
Yeah.
You know, when I first started construction, they made me a foreman after 6 months. I was not ready, like not even remotely ready. I didn't know enough about the field to be able to tell anybody what to do.
Yeah.
You know, zero. And so I always looked to these older guys who'd been doing it for 20, 25 years. And I would like pick their brains. They're like, well, you're the foreman. Why are you asking me? You know? I don't know. Huh. And, you know, I find that, so when you first do that, these guys are, when you first become their foreman, they don't like you.
Yeah.
You're this young punk kid that, you know, they think brown nose their way to the top, you know? And I told my boss I wasn't ready. And as soon as you tell them, look, all I'm here to do is make sure your paperwork gets turned in so you get paid on Friday. That is my job. And then to make sure that we finish the project on time and correctly. But I can't do it without you because I don't know. And as soon as you tell these guys that, as soon as you admit that you're not this superstar, you know, that you're still learning, you're still, you know, young, wet behind the ears, you know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
The respect changes. You know, they admire you more, they work with you more, they, you know, they teach you. They'll show you things, you know, and they're not afraid to.
Yeah.
At that point, because that barrier drops. You
There's
know,
a point, Nick, in your book where this kind of reminded me of it when Rit is, you know, has the opportunity to work with Remy, and Remy's like, look, you know, it's going to be hard. This stuff is going to be like,
you don't know what you're asking.
You don't know what you're asking, right? Like, I just thought about that too. He gives him kind of this opportunity and this choice.
Yeah.
And, you know, like Rick could have, you know, been like arrogant and said, well, I know that. I got miles, you know, but he didn't, you know, in that moment, he had some opportunity to show his humility of what, hey, I don't know what I don't know. And can you teach me? And he said, yeah, follow me, you know, and it's going to take some work. It's going to take effort. It's not easy. Sometimes it's scary. Sometimes it's hard. But as you start stepping forward, small, simple steps, repeated, create complexity. From somebody I know. I think it's a Mandelbrot type of deal. an equation.
Little mathematician. Yeah.
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 So anyway,
the beauty of that too is in the book, he says, I'll teach you what I know, but becoming a giant is up to you. Like Davey, where you're at is these guys that say, I'll teach you what I know.
Yep.
But you're the one that has to go prove it. Right. Like there are a lot of people that have knowledge that don't take action around that knowledge. Right.
Well, and a lot of people are scared to, there's a certain individual in my life, and I'm not going to name names because I don't need him mad at me, but, and he's probably one of my biggest driving forces, for several reasons. One, I don't ever want to look like him. I don't ever want to be, overweight, can't walk, can't move, can't, so afraid to fail that he's not willing to try. You know what I mean? And I see it all the time. I see it in employees. I see it in friends. I see it, everywhere. And it's devastating to me because it doesn't matter what you say to them. You can't change their mindset.
Yeah.
They have to do that on their own.
They do, right? Like that is an individual thing.
Yeah.
Like
and it sucks.
It does because it's, the idea of awakening people. I got to wake people up, right? Yeah. We say, the show is Wake Up with Giants, but these are people that are choosing to kind of step into a new way. It's not like we're out there saying, hey, you need to wake up. You're thinking wrong. They're coming to us and saying, look, I'm starting to see that I need to do things differently.
Right.
That's a different power. When somebody, if it were a seed, there's no getting through the hard shell until they sprout, right?
Exactly.
But once they sprout, man, I got all the nutrients. Like when you're ready, you start to sprout, we got all the nutrients. Just come plant in this garden here and we'll get you growing. But until that shell breaks open, like you said, it's not up to you. And it can feel frustrating, but truly it's not your choice, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's, as a leader, that's one of the hardest things, and one of the things you said is that, small steps and learning from people, and having mentors, you didn't say mentor, but, on the same concept, but even billionaires and millionaires bring people into their team that are smarter than them, that know more than them. Robert Kiyosaki, I love his stuff. I love reading it. I love, and one of the things he touches on is his team is made up of people that are better at it than he is. His coaches are smarter than he is. Yeah. In whatever aspect they're brought in as, whether it be real estate or law or, whatever the case might be.
Or they see something from a different perspective, right? Where
Correct.
That's why, like a coach on a basketball team, they're not a Michael Jordan most of the time.
No.
Is that an old reference? And I can't say Kobe, rest in peace, Kobe. They're not the LeBron James, if you like LeBron. But they just sit off the sideline and they watch the game. They can understand the mechanics of it, so that then they can help that person grow in their craft, right?
Well, and sometimes the most important place to be is away from it.
Sorry, so LeBron, if you're watching this. Right. I'm sure you're a great man.
But yeah, seeing things from a distance helps. How many people do you know get stuck looking through this little tiny pinhole called life, and I have an employee that struggled, paying on some stuff, and he was so frustrated with it and so angry, about having to pay this. And I said, well, how much do you owe? And it was something like 40,000 or something like that. And I said, okay, so have you done this? Well, no. Why not? Well, because they don't deserve this and they don't, you know what I mean? And he saw life, and I always put it to him like this. He saw life through this little tiny hole in my fingers there. That's all. That's what he visualized life through. So all he saw was this huge problem that took up the entire space of that hole.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, stop, open up what you're looking at. I said, file your taxes, get it done. let them take your taxes. You know, how much did you make last time you did? Oh, it was, $10,000 or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And I said, 4 years, you'd be done with this. 4 years, you'd be done, and you'd never have to worry about it again.
Yeah.
Now the guy has 3 vehicles, and, he's down to like, $8,000.
I thought you were going to say now he's $100,000 in debt.
Right? But
yeah,
but he listened to me, and
we just opened the hole up and created a bigger mountain.
Oh, that's a big problem.
Yeah. No, truly, dude, this is really a big problem now. Yeah.
But rather than looking at just the problem, he saw that there was life beyond that at that point.
Okay, so this is powerful too, because this ties into the small steps, is creating a change from the hole that you've dug yourself into, is taking these small steps. Like you said, like file your taxes, right? Do something that starts to dig you out of that hole rather than looking at it as too overwhelming. Because many people, I won't say most people, many people will shut down. They'll see how big this thing is that they've got to tackle, and they'll shut down and they won't do anything. They succumb to it.
Yeah. Well, and problems like that don't go away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with the government, the IRS.
Yeah, they don't forget.
That's weird.
Yeah. So the I'm gonna pull us forward here in the journeys, because you went through and learned these things as you went. So it's not like it was an overnight deal. You read one book and you're done, right?
I wish.
These tools of empowerment that you learned, it was really empowering yourself so that you could see a brighter future. Because until you feel powerful in here, a lot of times you can't see vision. You can't see beyond what is. Yep. And when you feel empowered in here, then you start to explore. Not that you have to do anything. I think that's where the hang up comes in, especially with the giants, is a lot of people think, well, you have to be a giant. No, you don't, right? The idea here is that you could be.
Right.
There's possibility for that only if you choose into it. But when you feel powerful, you start to think, what else could I do? What else is possible for me, right?
Yeah. And powerful doesn't mean rich.
Yeah, okay.
Powerful is a mental state. It's what you feel inside, and it's a slow and sometimes very grueling process, right, where you may want to quit 100 times throughout that process, and I almost did a couple times, and I look back and I think, what would have happened if I quit at this point?
Yeah.
I had 5 employees when I was at the worst in my company and really just done with it. Yeah. Thank God my wife, she could see through it.
Yeah.
But it was.
Do you mind sharing that a little bit? Are you okay going there?
Yeah. So, I was trying to grow too fast. I thought that if I took on 100 people, I could just make 100 times more money than I was making. And really it got me in deep trouble and fast, Within a month, I was $60,000 in debt, owed people around town, which is harder than owing a bank, because you got to show your face around town, and I had to make phone calls, had to call people and say, hey, I know I owe you this money. I won't forget. Just give me some time.
Yeah.
But I didn't do that at first. At first I was defeated. I think it was 7 a.m, something like that. And I'm still in bed. Usually I was out of the house by 4 and I'm laying in bed. And at this point, the wife's up, showered, getting ready for her day. And she comes in and she goes, hey, what the F are you doing? And I go, what? And she goes, why are you still in bed? And she knew that I'd been struggling, and I said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. It's too hard.
Yeah.
And she goes, I get it. You still have contracts out there? Yeah. So you made people promises? Yeah. Are you a liar? No. Get your effing ass out of bed.
I like your rest
and go to work. you have a job to do.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, and that was a pivotal moment in my life because one, I realized that I could endure anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could do anything. It just took somebody with a cattle prod to get my butt up. You know? And
nothing like a woman with a cattle prod, man. Like,
right. Well, it worked, you know, and she knew that my integrity was more important than quitting.
Yeah.
She knew that, you know, and because of her, I was just like, okay, all right, you know, I got this. And it hurt and it was hard.
And you didn't know how to do it. Like you didn't wake up and like, oh, I see a plan. All of a sudden I got this all figured out. Right. It's like, what did you do?
I was terrified. I knew that I owed these people money. I knew that most of them were friends. And that if I would just go talk to them, most of them would work with me, you know? So I started right there. I picked up the phone and I started making calls. Give me some time. Give me some time. I'll get you paid. 6 months. 6 months I did it. I worked my butt off. I worked 7 days a week, 18 to 20 hours a day, every single day for 6 months. And I paid every penny back in 6 months.
Amazing.
Every penny I made went to them. And I got letters in the mail and I got cards at Christmas. You know, we're so proud of you. We knew that you would pay us back. We knew you'd take care of us. A lot of them, most of them I paid back with interest. You know, they didn't ask me to. They just wanted to be settled. You know, and I gained a whole different level of respect from these people because I did what I said I was going to do.
Yeah. I think this is the power that we have is that, and it doesn't matter how we wake up to it, is the moment we wake up to it, we get to choose in, right? And you don't have to see how you're going to do it. And so many people hold off. They think, well, when I know how to do it, then I'll do it. Yeah. Just show me the how. There are libraries full of books of how, right?
Yeah. On everything.
And people won't go check those books out. Yeah. Like you want the how, go to the library and check out a effing book, right? Like,
they make it easy. Building a house for dummies, you know, working on your car for dummies.
Yeah. It's not about the how. What it is the grit to get out there and actually do the work, right? So, and sometimes it happens really quick and sometimes it doesn't, but are you committed? And that commitment, that's what I'm hearing here, is that commitment is what showed up. And you know it was commitment because you did it. Like commitment is what you do, right?
Yep. So, well, and it kind of brings me to another deal, you know, failure is key. But I'm a firm believer that you don't actually fail unless you quit. So I tell my guys, you know, they'll do something stupid and I'll ask them, I'll say, well, did you learn from it? Well, yeah, I know that I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
Then you won.
Yeah.
You know, you did it. And I always tell them, your goal is to fail forward, you know, because when you start again, you're not starting from scratch. You know, you're not starting from the beginning again. This time you're starting with experience. You know, you're starting with, okay, this is what not to do because that sucked.
Yeah.
You know, and you fail forward. You absolutely, failure is key.
I want to hit on this, the idea of your business where it is today. And I know where your business is successful. But when you started to look forward, right, to your future, this creation that is today, as it is today, could you have seen it the way that it is today? Could you have seen that as clearly as it is today when you started? Does that make sense?
Close. Yeah, not even close. I mean, I had this dream of what it could be.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Like, what did that look like for you? And in its most simple form, what did you see?
I didn't think it'd be as tough.
No. This is gonna be easy. Right?
I didn't, you know, and honestly, the more I grow, the harder it gets. but not in a bad way, because, life is hard because you get better at it. I tell my kids this all the time. It doesn't get easier. You just get better at it.
Yeah.
Life is still hard. You just get better at dealing with it.
You just know how to navigate it, right?
Correct. And that takes experience, and that takes learning from it. And that takes, being able to deal with those hard sales or those hard people that are a pain in the butt to deal with, that's all part of it.
Right.
And it's a matter of progression, but to say, my dream, when I first started, I told a couple people, that my goal was to be the biggest framing company in the county.
Yeah.
And most everybody, okay, whatever. Yeah. And which was fine. For me, it wasn't about trying to convince them. It was about getting it out there. So by telling people, whether they believe you or not, it's not.
Yeah. You declared it, right? Like, yeah.
Correct.
You called the shot.
Yes. You make it a reality by saying it out loud.
Yeah.
Just like putting it on paper, write it in a book. That's why, having a journal is so important.
Well, people are like, I couldn't say that's not true. I can't say that out loud. It's just not, it's not true. Right. Like they say, quote unquote, true.
Right.
But you're saying, no, it is true. It just might not be in our objective reality yet.
Right. But it's going to be.
Yeah.
That's how you pull it in. Yeah.
Right.
And gives you something to live up to as well.
Right. Well, and I gave myself a deadline. My goal was 5 years. And I missed it by quite a bit, to be honest with you, a few years, but we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can honestly tell you, I don't know if I make more money being that size than I did with, 3 crews or 4 crews. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we did it. And now I don't think about how I got there per se. It's more, who can I help? And I don't think about, do I make more money now? I don't think about that, because honestly, I've brought the same size paycheck in for the last 4 years, and I didn't make a paycheck at all until then.
I think it's Brandon. Is it Dr. Brandon Hardy? Is that his name? His book is Who Not How, right? And part of the who not how is who can you help?
Right.
And also who can help you? Right. Like, so there are 2 parts to that. Who has the resources I need for what I want to create? Because we get so hung up on the how, right? Like the how, whenever I hear somebody say, how do you do this? I know they're coming from fear.
Yeah.
I know they're trying to control it. Yep. They're terrified. And so when we start getting into the question of who, like in 3 forms, right? Who do you have to be? Who out there has the resources that you need? And then who are you serving, right? Yep. Like those 3 who's are more important than any how, because if you have those put together, even the first one, who you are inside all that, matters more than all of it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So you start looking at who can I serve, right, in my community. Yep. And then also you probably had some strategic alliances that were
absolutely created. And I ask questions all the time. I have a business partner. I didn't want a business partner, but I knew that for me to hit the next step, one, I had to have the funding.
Yeah.
Because it costs money, and I needed somebody that had experience in business. Running people I can do. Yeah. Business is hard. It's everything after your day that's hard.
Yeah.
That stuff's tough.
Does that sound familiar, Ryan?
Yeah. I had a certain somebody in my life once tell me that they don't do business partners.
Yeah.
But I get that.
Turns out they do.
Turns out.
Well, the thing is it has to be the right person. And
it really does, man.
And just like a marriage, communication is absolutely imperative.
Yeah.
Has to be. Because the fastest way to ruin any kind of partnership is to hide stuff.
Yeah.
Not be transparent, not have those conversations. And I guarantee that you have conversations that are tough, that you really don't want to have, because it's like, man, he's going to be pissed.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this because, I'm going to have to deal with the repercussions of this.
Well, it's teaching people how to work with you, right? That's exactly what you're doing, is you're showing them how to work with you. So like we talked about, I think earlier, about people not wanting to say what's going on within them.
Right.
Their partners are learning how to work with them. I just know that if I throw a fit, they're going to back off. So I know how to play this game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's communication. You sometimes you'll put some stuff out there that'll have people really say F you. I've had people in my coaching program say F you, and then come back after and say thank you.
Yeah.
Right. So we have a shirts FUTU, right? The Jen Walter, you'll remember this. That was her creation.
Right.
And sometimes it's really hard to hear things. I've had people say things to me. It's like, I freaking hate you right now. And then I sit with it and I'm like, I actually needed every bit of what you just shared with me. And I go back and I thank them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
And getting around your pride can be really hard sometimes, and in the moment, you're hot, you want to light this person up. But at the same time, 2 hours down the road, you're just like, when you have time to dwell on it and think about it and really process what was
Mike
said.
Tyson and Evander Holyfield here.
You're not playing. You're not having a conversation. How dare you?
Right. But what I love about what you're presenting here is, going into the idea of vision, is the business the way it is today. You couldn't have seen it clearly when you started. No. The vision that you had was enough to get you going.
Right.
Like there is no perfect vision looking forward. There's only perfect vision looking backward, because you see all the path and everything that led to it.
Yeah. And if you're trying to make the perfect vision, you'll never get going. Like just
exactly.
Yeah. So you got to just start taking those small steps.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and, I went to a class years ago, and they said, a lot of people are, it's like ready, set, but they never go. They plan, and they plan, and they plan, and they plan, and for them that's progress.
Yeah.
Because
I did that.
Sure.
I say it took 13 years. Well, probably really only took 3 to get to where we are. Because for 10 years, I was that guy. Like I was creating all these cool websites and, this will be the book, but I was never in conversation with people, this will be the book that goes. I think it was Richard Paul Evans, when he said, you got to have a platform. That's when I had a wake up call, because I had books. I had nobody to read them. Right. So we went to work, Ryan and I went to work on building a platform. It's like, we didn't have anything. So we're like, what does a platform look like? We don't know. We should start doing like gift wars on a Facebook group. And all of a sudden we got 4,300 members nationwide. Like we start battling back and forth with gift wars and funny memes. And here we are today with, a little more serious content, but
I'm from Arizona, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Arizona. Yeah. I knew you were down that direction.
Yeah.
Arizona's great too.
So I like it. I like our little town.
Yeah. So I'm curious about legacy. Like what is your legacy? Why are you doing any of this? What is it that matters most to you?
10 years ago, my answer would have been so different.
Yeah.
But now my goal and the reason I do so many things is the amount of people I can help. I have 75, 80 employees now. I think the last deal that I got on, it was like 99 employees, and it might be that much. I don't even know at this point, but I think to myself, how many families can I help feed? How many families can I help pay their mortgage? And move them forward. My business partners yelled at me multiple times. You pay the guys way too much. Every single employee I have makes more money than I do. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Me personally, the business makes money. Otherwise I wouldn't be in business.
Yeah. Yeah.
But me personally, I don't need a lot of money. You know, I get to do things, you know, my wife's got a great job, you know, and we're happy.
Yeah.
You know, and people ask me, you know, you're rich, you know, you got all this money, you got all this time, you got all this, you know, drive these new trucks. Well, the business owns the trucks, but you know, I get it. You know, I see where you're coming from, you know, and yes, I am rich, but not in the way people think.
Yeah.
You know, I have a home that I built myself that my daughter designed at 15 years old. Actually, we've been in it for almost 2 years. So, you know, 14 years old, 13 years old. You know, we have vehicles that run. We both have great jobs that we love.
Yeah.
You know, my kids are good kids. You know, most of them were straight A students, you know, and really push themselves.
Yeah.
And still, even the ones that weren't straight A students are going places.
And you got 2 sons in the Navy, right? And
yeah.
You got your shirt on. Yeah. If you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Got 2 boys. So one got out of basic, I want to say in June or July. And then the other one gets out of basic the beginning of November. Yeah. Pretty proud of where I'm rich. I am wealthy beyond,
you know,
anything. You know,
that's the beauty of, you know, the idea of being a giant is there's so many ways to do it.
Yeah.
And the measurement's an internal measurement. We each get to decide what that looks like for us. But nobody has to be a giant. Nobody has to do more than what they're currently doing. You could be satisfied in your life and just settle down, and that'd be your life, right?
Yeah. And I'd be good with it.
Yeah.
But I get bored, and I like to keep pushing.
I get bored.
You know?
Exactly. Right.
I wouldn't, you know, I'm on 4 different committees, and I started you know, you and I talked about the nonprofit that I do a little bit, Nick, and you know, the nonprofit is to help people that can't afford to get into the trades, you know, and to teach people trades. To get into a trade, I mean, you're going to spend $1,200 on tools.
Yeah.
Before anybody will talk to you. They don't even want an apprentice unless they have boots and hard hat and tools and, you know, their safety vests and, you know, fall protection. I mean, that stuff's expensive.
Yeah.
So we put a program together that helps pay for that.
Yeah. Amazing.
You know, gives them that leg up to get started. And I don't care if they work for me or they work for somebody else. That makes no difference to me. You know, I had a kid that worked for me. I'll never forget him. His name was Skyler. Great framer, good kid. Showed up every day, had all his own stuff, you know, and just an exceptional human. And when we first started this program, I'm doing this event where we're teaching and we're bringing people in to try and get them jobs and stuff like that. And I see him sitting back in the crowd. And he sees me, and you could see the panic on his face.
Yeah.
You know, he's just like, oh shit. You know, that's my boss.
Yeah.
You know, and he had no clue that I was running it and or part of the group that was running it. And it was really funny because he, after the whole presentation, he just kind of slipped out the back and disappeared. You know, so the next day I go up to him and say, hey, what happened to you the other day, you know, yesterday at that deal? He goes, you know, he didn't want to talk about it. Yeah. And I said, what are you looking to do? I said, because obviously you're a framer. You already have everything you need for that, but you wouldn't be there unless you had a different interest. He goes, well, I really want to be an electrician. I said, really? And he goes, yeah, I just, you know, it fascinates me. I said, I know a guy, you know, so I called my electrician and I said, hey, because, you know, we not only do I run framers, we build houses. And so we have an electrician and I knew he was looking for people. Yeah. And, but the deal is that the kid has to go through the program that we had set up for him to be able to work for him. And my electrician goes, I don't want to do any of the paperwork. I'm really not interested in that. I could use the help. And I said, I'll do your paperwork. This kid needs a job and he wants to work for you. And here it's been 4 years that the kid's been an electrician. And he loves it. And every time I see him, he goes, I can't believe you were willing to just let me leave. I said, amazing. How can I be mad at somebody for bettering themselves?
See, that's a thing that a lot of leaders may want to adopt, right? Is helping people to succeed doesn't take away from you. There's this thought that if I help them succeed, that's going to take away from what I have. But man, they will talk about that. You're helping them in their vision. Like, why wouldn't you want to help them to create their own vision? I think that's a powerful thing, right? Even if they move on from your company, right?
Yeah. Well, I absolutely live my life on, everything that happens on purpose. There's a reason behind it. Now, that doesn't mean that you understand it or that there's, what that reason's going to be. But anything and everything I've ever done in my life, there's been a process that has happened, and you may not see it at first, but there's been things that have happened to me, and it's just like, why? Why is this happening to me? Why does this, and sometimes you're really bitter about it. And then, it's like my divorce. My divorce was awful. I wouldn't have wished it on my worst enemy. 10 years of being divorced, and we can finally have a conversation. Yeah. It was one of those bitter divorces that you hear about on TV. Awful. Years of custody battle. Thousands and thousands of dollars. For what? For nothing. Yeah. But if it hadn't happened, when Christina and I met, I knew what I was willing to tolerate and what I wasn't willing to tolerate. Yeah. Yeah. And I knew that, clear into the deepest part of my soul. I knew that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Her relationship before ours was bad. He beat her. He was this just awful human, and so by us coming together, those terrible things happened to us to prepare us for each other, and that way, both of us, we knew exactly what we'd be willing to put up with and exactly what we wouldn't. And we sat down one day and we talked, look, I won't tolerate this, and laid it down, and he was like, yeah, well, I'm not going to put up with this, I think a lot of it was we were trying to scare the other one off, but at the same time, it grew us closer together because of the honesty and the, it's like, wow, she's hot, and the more she talks, the hotter she gets. and it's funny to me, when we'd actually been dating a little bit, I was riding with her and she had said something. I don't even remember what it was. And I was like, oh my God, you're so smart. I just love you. And that was the first time any of us had said it. And she's like, oh, you beat me to it. And it was just like, I was like, I can't believe how intelligent you are. Yeah. And her intelligence just, it gripped me. Yeah. It was intoxicating. Yeah. You're like, I wasn't a sapiosexual before I got into this. Right. By God, I am now. Yeah. I'm in trouble. Right. Shit, you know more than me. This has been a beautiful conversation. We're kind of at time here, and I love the journey because we all have our version of that. Yeah. Right. We all have our version of feeling really small and feeling depressed and really being hard on ourselves. And in some cases, there's somebody that comes along and puts us on their shoulder and lets us see it a little different. Right. And in other cases, we're that person. We do that for ourselves. Right. Yeah. We learn how to empower ourselves, how to get back into our power and be our word. And that's really what it is. Your power is your word, and being at peace with what is your power.
I mean, that's another thing too, with your word and your peace. Those are two incredibly life-changing things that people could develop within themselves, right? Be your word and be at peace, right? And then your vision, like, you don't need a clear vision, a clear enough vision, something to get you moving, right? And then let it evolve. Yeah. And then small steps. And your whole purpose is, it could be anything. Yours was to make an impact in as many lives as you can. And other people have other purposes, other meanings that they give it. But that's the journey that we see over and over again it's in books, it's in people, it's in your journey. I mean, we've done over 150 of these interviews, and every single one of these people has a journey that's similar, where they at one point felt inadequate, right? Felt small. So I love that you shared what you did. I appreciate you coming on. Any other thoughts you want to share? Anything we missed?
I feel like we barely even touched the tip of the iceberg, but all I can say is, be honest with yourself. Never quit. Fail forward. Never quit. And have those hard conversations when you have to have them. Be willing to step up and listen. Don't just respond. Listen. Hear what's being said. That's, and don't get in a hurry. Nobody became a millionaire in a day. Nobody. Unless, of course, your parents gave it to you when they died or something like that. But you get what I'm saying.
I do. Yeah. Thank you. Ryan, do you have other thoughts?
It's been awesome to get to know you more, and I'm excited. I just said I smell a part 2 coming. I'm excited to get to know you even more, and I can see just similarities in my journey. This is why I do what I do as well, is because it helps me remember the things that I've been through, and then see different things in other people, so that I can see people differently as well. Does that make sense? It was a weird combination of words.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But because I can see, as I hear other perspectives, I can see it, or as I see other perspectives, then I can learn to recognize it. It's that consciousness, and then I can help myself and help others along the journey, and be able to hold space for them and the things that they're going through. Sometimes people aren't ready yet. They need some time to just sit, to be. But then as they start to see the giant in themselves and what they can accomplish and start believing it, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities. And when everything is possible, when there's, what is it, Nick? When nothing is certain, anything is possible. Yeah. And I just got to witness that in your journey. And now look, and now where do you go from here? That's the coolest thing. Have you arrived? Have you made it? Are you exactly where you want? I just set you up for that.
I don't want to make it.
Yeah.
Because people that find an end quit. At that point, they tend to lose themselves in it, and it can be really detrimental. I've seen it hundreds of times where people will quit. Not quit, retire. Just say retirement. And they retire to a chair. You know what I mean? And then they never, they become agoraphobic, or they don't go out at all, or they, eventually they can't walk because they retire to a chair. I'm not that person.
Notice this can is, no more pea soup. I haven't opened this, Hugh. So no more pea soup. I'm committed to not opening that can of soup. That's my commitment, right? Like what you're saying is if you've arrived, that's fine. Some people will do that, but there's more in them, and they let that rest. To me, that commitment to no more pea soup is a commitment to never arrive.
Yeah. Well, I have a friend that did a post. In fact, you guys have interviewed him, and it was talking about standing still and moving forward. And I made a comment on there. I don't believe that standing still is a thing. I believe that you're either moving forward or you're going backwards. You're digressing. There is no in between. So your goal is to continue to push forward, even a little at a time.
Yeah.
You know, and not to digress. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody goes backwards sometimes. Everybody. Nobody's immune to that.
Yeah.
But your goal is to continue with that forward progression throughout your life. I don't care if you're 100 years old. You know, I tell people my goal is to be retired in 4 years. 4 years. That's my goal. But I'll never really retire, you know? So I say semi-retired. I want to go on vacation when I want to go on vacation.
Right.
You know, that to me is retirement. But I don't ever want to stop doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I love it. You know?
Yeah, that we've interviewed several business owners around that idea too, is being able to have the flexibility to do what you want to do when you want to do it, right? And having the resources to do it. So that's where the business came in, is it helped them to have the resources to do what they want to do when they want to do it. And if you really strip away your business, the reason you do it is to create that, in a lot of ways, that flexibility and freedom, right?
Correct.
And so, you know, the retired, I just hear in my mind, like putting new tires on. I've been retired. Retread. Yeah, maybe we should change it to retread.
I like that.
Instead of retired. Well, guys, thank you so much. We're going to wrap up the show here. For those that are watching, man, if you haven't gone through, I mean, you could spend a year or more on the episodes that we've created here. And you look at the journey, even going back to our first episodes, they were rough, man. I remember starting out, they were pretty rough, but it's become an evolution where we just, with practice and repetition, it's gotten better and better. And I'm just grateful to you and others who've been on the show that have shared their journeys so openly with us. It blows my mind that people who are multi-millionaires in their business, whether it's money or other ways, they're creating success in their world in their own way. And they'll just come on here and share it with us. It's like, that blows my mind.
You set the stage.
Yeah.
It's humbling.
They and we don't pull them off the stage. We don't, like Steve Hardison would say, break both legs. Right. So
you gave people a platform.
Yeah.
You gave them a place to be honest and to talk about it.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And it serves us.
Continue to grow. It does. And it serves everybody.
Yeah.
You know,
it's our coaching, man. It's our Sunday church, right?
I mean, really, you know, it's just like a good meditation session.
Yeah.
You know, it's as important as breathing.
Yeah. Thank you. I like that. Well, guys, thanks for watching. We appreciate you being a part of the journey. Continue to share. We will see you in the next video.
Thanks, guys.
You too.